but you have to know yourself. Because if you don't know yourself, how do you expect someone else to know you? How do you expect someone else to treat you the way you want to be treated, respect you, give you what you need to grow and evolve and be a true partner? If you don't know what you want, or you don't know who you are, or you don't know what mistakes happened in the last relationship you had. Because there's too many people out there that, they hate their jobs, or they hate their career choice, or maybe they hate their spouse. I don't know. But there's every day you can wake up and make that change. Are you going to hate for the rest of your life? Or are you going to make a conscious choice to be successful?
Yeah. That was something I thought I knew because I read it and it made sense. And I was able to tell people, listen to this one. This is a really good one. And, but in looking back at my life, I wasn't able to implement it, or chose not to, or whatever, for whatever reason. I wasn't ready yet. Where do we put the emphasis? If we'll do it, we'll put it on our career. Some will, some won't. Yeah, money.
Yeah, that's where we put it.
I'm Stephen Arecco of LifeMasteryPodcast.com. With me is Tara Visconti. She wrote a book, What I Wish I Knew When I Was 22. I sure wish I did. We have Facebook Live and YouTube Live, so please write in. Hey, Tara, what's going on?
Hi, how are you?
Good. So, what a book. I got to tell you, loved it.
Thank you.
We all know what we should do, right? But we don't do it. But when you're young, you think you know everything, and you know nothing.
That's right.
So, what made you write a book like this?
Well, it started because I was coming out of a pretty emotionally destructive relationship, and I decided to start therapeutically writing. So basically just journaling, writing down, even if it was a list of pros and cons, what went wrong, why not to ever go back, what not to do again. And as I was doing that, it made me feel so much better and made me recognize so many things that I thought, maybe I could help other people. So what started out as therapeutic writing for personal reasons turned into, I think I could make something of this. And I started to recognize patterns in those bad relationships. And as I was writing it, I was recognizing that I could learn from myself. Never settle for anything less than happy. You know what it takes to make you happy. And it really should start with you first, not trying to make other people happy.
Great book. The thing I like most about it, I think, is because they don't teach this in schools. They don't teach it at home. If we're lucky, we have loving parents. Maybe some of that will rub off, but there's so many things that pull us and push us when we're young, right?
Right.
So easy to go, of course, because we're kids and we think we know everything. And as successful as some people become, without this as a foundation, you're screwed.
Right.
You're screwed. I mean, everybody I know is divorced. Everybody I know is divorced. Yeah. And not to say if people are still married, it's still a great thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's got to be something to this that our society is just not picking up on.
Right. I think that people get into relationships for the wrong reasons to start. And what they don't recognize is the red flags. And I talk about the red flags in my book. You have to recognize the signs. People will show you who they really are. Someone told me that once, and I didn't really understand. But they will paint a picture of who they really are, whether it's in a moment they're having or on the first date. And you have to look at those signs and you have to pay attention to them. Otherwise, you're going to be headed down the wrong road with the wrong traveling companion. Yeah. And you don't want that. You want the best in life. You don't want to, and you want to share it with someone who understands you, who gets you, and gives back to you what you give to them.
Yeah. And to identify that when you're young, though, I mean, it's got to be more self-esteem related when you think about it. I mean, without addressing self-esteem, you can't even say, well, that guy's a schmuck, don't date him. Exactly. There's no way that you'll be able to make the right choices because of self-esteem. What other things you think
Well, definitely insecurity plays a huge part because I think when we're younger, we are more insecure. Most of the decisions we make every day are not for us, if you think about it. They are for someone else, whether it's for our partner, our boss, our colleagues, our children. They're not usually for us. And not to say that you have to be selfish, but a lot of the times you need to sit back and think, is this a good decision for me to be making for me, as well as for the other people in my life that matter? Or maybe I'm making decisions for people who don't matter. And that my happiness and peace of mind fall short if I do that. So the insecurity is also fear. Why don't we do the things that we want to do? Or why don't we quit the things that we know we need to quit? It's fear. It's either fear of the unknown. Oh, what are the consequences going to be if I quit this thing that's making me miserable? or it's fear of other people's judgments.
And what do you think about fear of success? People that maybe I'm not worthy of this.
Right. I mean, I wrote this book from a woman's perspective, so I do talk about women a lot in the book. We are afraid of that we're not worthy of anything more than what we have right now. And I make a good point in my book that however you're getting treated, I always say what you get is what you deserve. You deserve what you get. So that could be one of two things. That's either it's a positive thing or it could be a negative thing. If you put out bad vibes into the universe, I think you're going to get that back.
So then, in following up with that, if you get what you deserve, then it's there to teach you something.
That's right.
So if you're getting shit from somebody, right, and of course we always blame the other person,
right?
You know, it's never our fault,
right.
But let's just say it's their fault. Then all of our attention goes on them. They're screwed up. They need to fix this. Blah, 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 blah. Before you know it, the only thing you can change is yourself. And what's the common? You wrote this in your book. What's the common denominator between all the relationships you had?
Right. It's me.
It's you.
It's me. I'm the one who has to look in the mirror every day and stand in my own skin and be happy. And I make my own choices. I live this life. Nobody else lives my life going off the judgment. A lot of people live their lives in accordance with the opinions of others, or the comments of others, or the judgment of others. They don't stand in your shoes. They don't lay down next to this person every night. They don't live in this relationship.
Sure.
So you need to make choices that affect you and that are the best for you, because other people don't live your life. They just watch it.
And they only watch a small portion of it, and then they think they have the whole picture.
Right.
Oh, I know Tara. Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
I know everything about... We don't know shit.
We don't know shit.
And the things that go on in our minds, that personal space that no one will ever know. Right. The most important stuff that people will never know about us.
Exactly.
You know?
And how many people, look so happy on the outside, and on the inside they're struggling, and they're just putting on that smiling face.
Yeah.
But like, again, in my book, if you can look in the mirror and you like who you are, you truly like who you are, you like, the person that you've molded, the personality that you've created, and you feel successful as a human being, then you should never change that for anybody.
Right, but who's at that point? I mean, we were just talking about self-esteem. Adults, all the adults I know. I mean, okay, some are probably really good. I have to say that because some of them are friends of mine. But come on, they're not any better with the self-esteem than they were when they were 18.
Right.
I mean, I include myself in that too. In a lot of it, something happens and we react. It's. Supposedly we're supposed to put space between when something happens and our response. You know what I mean? And the more space we can put between that and the response, the more we'll be able to tailor the right response. But we're just knee-jerk reaction. Something happens, boom, we react the same exact way every single time, especially in relationships.
Exactly.
Major button pushers, right?
Right.
I mean, it's just your buttons are like naked to this person or your children or whatever, you know, and we're going to push them and push them and push them.
Right.
It's almost like if you don't matter to me in a positive way, well, you're going to matter to me in a negative way. Either way, you're going to pay attention to me.
Exactly.
And I think we all do that. I do that.
Yeah.
It sucks.
And it's not, if you think about a true partnership, you have to get one another. You have to be one with one another. You have to know what the person likes, but then you also better know what they don't like. And you act accordingly. That's a true partnership. If only one person is fighting and working and giving, and the other person's just taking, as I said in my book, that's not a partnership, that's a singleship.
Yes, and we chose those people.
That's right. We chose those people. At the same time, we can choose to get away from them.
Yes, and not repeat the same thing again.
Exactly.
Because, what is the definition of insanity? Do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result? I mean, come on. Relationships have to be, and I've said this 1,000 times, the most difficult. This is our Achilles heel. Yes. Human beings' Achilles heel is self-esteem, relationships, intimate relationships. And no matter what we do, what colleges we go to, what books we read, it's going to take us down every time. Yeah. How many people, they go through a divorce and their whole life just hits them?
And the other thing I think is that people think, you always people talk about they failed marriages. I don't think that there is a marriage that fails. People fail.
I agree.
People fail, okay? It's that you thought maybe this was going to work out, but you made this choice. I think a failed marriage, and I might get yelled at for this, a failed marriage is people who stay in an unhappy or dysfunctional marriage and don't leave. But leaving that, they don't realize at the time. but you're giving them an opportunity to find the perfect person for them. Sure. No one's perfect, but there's a perfect person for every person out there, I truly believe.
Yeah. I'm sure they see it that way every single time.
After the fact.
I know.
After the fact.
I know. But also think about it. If we're not yet together and we say this relationship sucks, I'm getting out. I'm out. Right. I'm out of this.
Right.
You know, sometimes I think staying and trying to figure out what's going on with you, not the other person, until you figure out what's going on with you. See, we always put the influence on, our attention on other people, always.
Yes.
We're always right, they're always wrong.
For other people,
It's always, it always seems to be that way. If you only reacted like this, I wouldn't have to raise my voice if you did this. Right. If you came home on time, I wouldn't have to be upset. If you would only go out more and be more loose, have more fun, then I'd be.
Right.
But what do you think of that? How do you leave a relationship unless your whole unless it's a really bad relationship with some type of physical abuse or mental abuse.
I'm not saying as soon as something bad happens, you run out the door. I obviously never did that. I stayed longer than I should have.
We all stay too long.
Because I feel like, I always was afraid of failure. Yeah. My mother always told me that, you're afraid of failure. And I was always the go-getter, and I have to do this, and I have to get this done.
How about fixing people? Are you a fixer?
Yes, I was a fixer. Because I think every relationship that you're in, even friendships. Now, this book talks about my relationships with men.
Oh, yes,
but it
does.
could be friendships that each relationship that you're in, if it goes south or it's gone and it's lost, each relationship teaches you something about yourself and about life and about the way things work.
If you derive the right conclusions from it. Otherwise, relationships suck. And, and I'll never do this again. And maybe I'll try something the opposite, which is just as bad next time. You go from someone that's too outgoing, you go to someone that's quiet and unassuming, and then that sucks.
I think you have to stop after every relationship that doesn't work out and think about what went wrong.
Great point.
And don't rush into the next thing. I see so many people do this.
I always rushed in. Always overlapping.
And I don't want to generalize, but I find that a lot of my male friends do that. I have some girlfriends that do that too, but I've always found in my experiences, more men rush into that next relationship than women do. And I don't know if, women, their hearts may be broken for a little longer, maybe that's what it is, but, and it's just that you have to think about it. You have to think about, before I do this, what went wrong? Is there something wrong with me? Look, it took me 5 relationships before I realized, wait a minute here, the common denominator is me.
And how many years did that encompass?
Exactly, many. I don't want to reveal my age, but, since I wrote the book, I think it was probably, I think I've probably been dating for 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
There was a marriage in there.
Damn,
But I was about projects. I did think, I can fix this person. I didn't know it at the time that it was I was a project person.
Yeah.
But, it took me a while to realize, wait a minute, I need to just stop and step back and find out, why am I choosing these jerks? I chose a lot of shitty guys, but I chose them. Why did I do that?
And why do I need to be in a relationship? Did you feel like you had to be in a relationship? You needed that?
Yes.
See, that's the messed up part of this, because I always did too. It's like as soon as I got away from a bad one, I got to fix this, so I need a good one.
And you want to know what that is, Steve? That's the fear of being alone.
Yeah.
And the other thing I mention is,
that's a good point.
You have to understand and embrace that you are never alone if you love your own company.
Yeah. But who loves their own company? I do now.
Yeah, I do now.
I do now.
Maybe not in my 20s. Maybe not in my 20s.
I'm talking about 20-something years of this, and I finally like myself. That's messed up.
Yeah.
It took this many years.
I was a big seeker of love. My parents were married forever. They had this wonderful love, and I was always seeking that. I wanted that too. I thought I can find that. And the problem is, it's like that song, I was looking for love in all the wrong places.
Yeah.
So I think that instead of looking for love from other people, or some kind of success in that way, I should have learned to love myself first.
Yeah.
And, everybody says that later, but I finally did learn, I had to take a year and just, I was ready to just love my own company for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Rather than be stuck unhappy and in love with the wrong person.
Yeah, after I got divorced, I decided to take a hiatus.
Yeah.
But I tell you, I did start feeling the pressure to fix, to undo the wrong,
right,
in a sense, and start finding somebody. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm dating and this isn't working out either. Right. I'm like, this is really messed up. So I was alone for the first time. It had to be around a year. It was great.
Right.
It was great. It was actually good. It was so quiet.
It is quiet.
It was deafening quiet, though. It was weird. I grew up in a house where all the TVs were on all the time, no matter what, even the bathroom,
Oh.
And then when I started dating, I would date and we were just, it was noise and commotion everywhere. And it was never silence.
Right.
And then and dogs all over the place. And, a lot of dogs. And then after I got divorced, it was like, no more dogs, no more and I decided to shut the TVs off. And I sat in my kitchen right upstairs and I said, wow, it was hard.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
You were
like,
alone with your own thoughts for a little while.
Yeah, it was. The quiet was so deafening, and I realized, well, wait a minute, there's something to this.
Yeah.
Always trying to fill the time and not being in. We was just speaking about this before. Being in the moment. Everybody says it. I mean, it's quite a phrase, but
right.
None of us really know how to do it unless you focus your attention on it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because we're too distracted.
Yeah.
We have too many things to think about to just enjoy, like sitting down and enjoying the moment that you're in. Yeah. And there's so many experiences that you have. I remember one of the best things somebody told me about my wedding day was, whatever happens, make sure at some point you sit down in a chair, maybe off to the side, away from everybody else and your guests, and just breathe it all in and take it all in and enjoy that.
Yeah.
And I did it.
Great advice.
And it was great advice. And it not only, that was the first time somebody had said that to me, so I did it for my wedding day, but I feel like there's so many other experiences that you have where you're thinking in your mind, this is the funnest day, or this is the greatest day, or this is the first time I've ever done this, or you're having a wonderful moment with your wife or your husband or your partner, and you realize this is the shit right now. I'm having a great time. And you need to and I try to do that with these kinds of experiences that I've had. Just sit back for a second and just breathe and look around and really feel how great you feel.
Yeah.
I host a couple of events every year, parties, and I'm always so worried, like, it's going to go by so fast, and we have so much fun, but it's going to go by so fast. And everything goes by so fast. It really does. And you have to just stop and take it in and recognize. And if you're having a bad experience with something, same thing.
Yeah.
Pull back from the situation and think about, what is going on here? Why am I feeling this way?
I was just going to say that because, we have, most of the moments in our lives are, just regular moments.
Right.
We have those great times and we'll never forget them. But to just, whatever the moment is that we're alive, in the moment, it doesn't matter. I study Eckhart Tolle a lot, and he says, well, listen, he just had a fender bender, right? Sure, you don't like it happened.
Right.
But you have to accept that it happened and to scream and get agitated. We live in that complaining and nothing's quite perfect, and we have those great experiences too, but I'm just saying they're few and far between, and they don't have to be, great experience after great experience in life. So I think that's what we were talking about this earlier, why we spend more time in the past and the future than in the moment, because the moment we feel it's a regular moment. What's up? Well, this is the only moment we have. We're alive in this moment, not what we're thinking about. We just lost this moment thinking about that
something
or that.
else, exactly.
Every single time we lose. Other than planning, we have to plan for the future. But if we're spending, 80% of our time in the past or the future, or probably even more than that, we get to the end of our life and what's left? It's like, I wish I had more time. Well, you didn't live your life.
Right.
It was either forward or backwards.
Exactly.
So it's a shame. So that's what I think your book is so perfect for this, because it catches kids early. And hopefully it will influence them to think about these kind of things.
Yeah.
Because once you start going down that rabbit hole of dating and self-esteem and sex and, and whatever issues each person has individually, who knows? That's a destructive cocktail.
Exactly.
Even under the best circumstances. Right. You can... my biggest fear is, a boy will start dating my 12-year-old. And ruin everything I've done.
Ruin everything you've created, everything you've built.
Everything. Right. Just like that. I won't have any control at all.
Right.
So, but I can't worry about that.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I'm living in the future too much. I can plan for it. I got a gun permit, but, So...
Yeah, I got my father a T-shirt for Father's Day once that said, "Guns don't kill people, dads with pretty daughters." It's great. He wears it every once in a while. It's great. But I do make that strong point in my book too about it's very important for men and women in this book to understand the effect that their decisions have on a daily basis. Every choice we make, it affects our success, but it also leads to a regret.
Yeah.
It could lead to either one. So the choices that we make can affect everything that happens after that. All day long I hear people blaming somebody else for something that went wrong.
It's horrible,
Except,
isn't it?
why is it so hard? Do you know how raw and vulnerable I was in this book?
Yeah.
I mean, I made some sad choices, and I took some people back that didn't deserve that, and I let myself be treated less than I deserve.
Well, what do we do for other people too, though? I mean, they have a perspective on this, and if they become healthy one day, they might look back and say, listen, why was I with Steve? What was I with Tara for? Oh my God, what was I thinking?
Right.
Because we were messed up at those times.
Exactly.
I mean, not that we're still not messed up somewhat. We're human beings, right?
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes. We're on a course.
Every day is a new day to be better.
Yeah, we're never going to arrive. It's all about the journey. That's what they say.
Exactly.
It's all about the journey.
But you have to admit responsibility, and you can't be so afraid to admit your flaws and your mistakes and your failures, because that's what helps you be a real human being. And people walking around pretending to be someone they're not, or pretending that they're perfect, or pretending that I didn't make any mistakes.
Right.
So that's where I thought it was important I didn't have any problem saying that I made some serious mistakes and I made some really bad life choices, and then I would make them again. And it took me a long time to figure that out. But I think that more people need to stop blaming everybody else.
Yeah.
This is your life. No one's coming to rescue you.
Yeah.
You don't need to rescue anybody else.
Yeah, there you go.
And,
you got to rescue yourself, right?
Exactly,
That's all there is to
yourself. If you
Before
spend
it's
your
too late.
time trying to rescue someone else, they're just going to drown you. And they don't deserve your safety net, and they don't deserve the love that you're trying to give out.
Yeah, and it eats up time. I mean, it's a distraction from the reality of
Exactly.
the only thing we can do is change ourselves, and that's the hardest thing in the world to do.
Exactly.
So what the hell are we spending time trying to change someone else, which is totally impossible, when it's virtually impossible to change ourselves?
Right.
But you really got to apply yourself to it.
Right.
It's a distraction.
It is a distraction.
You wake up 10 years later, 20 years later, you're on your deathbed. You're like, I wish.
Yeah, so now don't do that. See, every day is a new day.
Yeah.
So if you think that you don't want to end up, I said that too. I looked at myself and said, is this where I want to be in 10 years? Another failed relationship that I thought was the one?
Yeah.
Hell no. Hell no.
So you got to do the inner work, right?
That's right.
How do you pick a person to be intimate with without having done the inner work?
Exactly.
It's impossible.
Right.
Unless you're lucky enough, you throw a pin in a telephone book and you hit that. We could be. I don't see it around us too much.
You have to know yourself. Because if you don't know yourself, how do you expect someone else to know you? How do you expect someone else to treat you the way you want to be treated, respect you, give you what you need to grow and evolve and be a true partner?
Yeah.
If you don't know what you want, or you don't know who you are, or you don't know what mistakes happened in the last relationship you had.
Yeah.
Because there's too many people out there that, they hate their jobs, or they hate their career choice, or maybe they hate their spouse. I don't know. But there every day you can wake up and make that change. Are you going to hate for the rest of your life?
Sure.
Or are you going to make a conscious choice to be successful in whatever it is that isn't bringing you the ultimate peace of mind and joy?
And like you said before, personal responsibility. Once you hear someone say, oh, this person, they pissed me off, this person, they got in my way, this person doesn't respect me, this person, it's just all about other people.
It is.
All about other people. And, when we're really in tune to it, it's so obvious to us now, isn't it? It's like you get it, and now you see it everywhere. It's it's like you buy a car. It's like now you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You didn't notice it before because you weren't tuned into it. Now you're really hyper tuned to it, and it's like. But you also don't want to preach now because you don't want to be the teacher to your friends and your loved ones, and I battle with that sometimes too.
Right.
You want to make things better because you really know what would help.
Everybody
Sometimes.
has to come into his own at the time that they are ready.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And that whole relating thing, if you say to somebody, if you didn't act this way, I wouldn't act that way.
Right.
The better way to put that is, when you did X or when you said Y to me, it made me feel as if you didn't understand me, or you didn't really care about my feelings, or you came home instead of screaming, you came home 3 hours late, I asked you to pick up a carton of milk and you didn't get the milk, and now we're in a screaming match. How about you getting home late and forgetting the one thing I asked you to get, made me feel as if you don't care about my feelings, as if I don't matter, and my time's not valuable. That conversation is going to go a lot easier than the other one where you pounce on him as soon as he comes in the door and start yelling at him.
Yeah.
And that's the thing where people don't really understand.
Yeah.
People think they know how to communicate, but communication is a study all by itself.
Oh, it is.
It's a lot of work.
Oh my God, it is so much work.
But it's very important work.
It's necessary. It's foundational. Without that, all of our relationships are tainted.
Right.
They just are. And what I found is having those conversations with people, and people having them with me, it kind of you can feel attacked even when it's put as simple and as nicely as you just put it.
Right.
Because that's the way we took it.
Right.
Just like you said you took it. You didn't bring the bread or whatever. That's because I felt this and I felt that. A lot of it has to do with feelings. I mean, I'm sure if you really thought about that scenario, that person does care about you, and that was not a reason to feel that way, but yet you felt that way.
Right.
I like to sit with those things because I'm very reactionary, so I have to catch myself a lot.
Yeah, me too.
And I'll catch myself and I'll go,
like, what?
I'm like, that's about me. I just felt, I felt like this, something, I felt.
Yeah, I think it's the Italian in us.
Oh,
we're just like, what did you just say?
Yes,
what?
yeah.
You meant, I didn't mean that at all. What is the matter with you?
How are you at taking compliments?
I'm pretty good at it. If it's said in a big group of people, like I get a little, I'm on the spot, and usually you're supposed to just say that.
Can you rejoice in it for a few seconds?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I have a problem with that.
Can.
I mean, it doesn't have a problem. It just automatically doesn't. I don't. But if someone says something negative, or gives you an eye, or does something that you misconstrue as something negative, and I'll think about that a lot. And I think that's very common, and I think that's sad.
Yeah, it is.
Right. We'll take that and we'll mold that over in our brains over and over and over. And I should have said this, and you should have said that.
OCD over that.
Oh yeah, but how come we don't do that with
compliments? Well, it has to be genuine too. I think people are so distrustful. Like if you're walking down the street and you see somebody, they're like, "Oh, you look fabulous." Now, do they mean that? Is that just hi? How are you? You look fabulous. Is a come on?
Yeah.
So you have to first. They have to be genuine. And if you trust the other person, you are supposed to just say thank you. But we're our own worst enemy. We treat ourselves like shit in our
worse
heads.
than anybody ever could treat us.
We judge ourselves so much. Yeah. So if someone actually says, "Oh my God, you look so great," you might be like, "Oh no." Our automatic is, "Oh no, I've gained weight," or "Oh, my hair looks like shit today." We don't just say thank you. So my fiance told me something so great a long time ago, and it stuck with me, that he learned from one of his mentors. The person said, you have to ask yourself, are you listening to the person that's speaking to you, or are you waiting to speak? And when he told me that like a million years ago, back when we first met and I was working in the DA's office. I have never lost that. I think that is one of the most amazing things that you can put on someone. Mm-hmm. And ask them to really ponder that, because half the times we are waiting to speak because our story is way more important than whatever the hell you have to say. Yeah. And that's bad, because to be a good listener is one of the greatest attributes to have in this world.
It is. Well, it means, I think, not only are you showing respect, but putting that aside, the bigger picture is you're in the moment then.
That's right.
I mean, whether you like the moment, you love the moment, it's neutral, it doesn't matter. That's the one that's presenting itself to us at that time. That's what makes it so great. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. And Judge Judy says, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you should listen twice as much as you
That's right.
As you
That's
speak.
a good one, too.
See, how many books do you think you've read in your lifetime? Well,
I went to law school, so thousands.
I mean, How about personal development books? 20, 100?
Yeah, probably those. Not as many, probably 20. I was a big fiction reader when before I went to law school, and then I went to law school and I decided I never wanted to pick up another book for years. But I got back into it. But I do like the personal development books, more so obviously in my later years. There's definitely been more self-discovery in my 30s and 40s than there ever was in my 20s.
Sure.
My self-discovery was, what bar are we going to tonight, and can I get in?
Yeah, I know. I was in the 80s were great. Best time to grow up. 70s and 80s, great time. But I've read hundreds of books, and I find that 90% of it didn't stick. You're better off focusing on one paragraph in one book and bringing it into your life.
Right.
And then going from there, I have a friend that says, we're a book, 100 books, a book a week. And I felt like patting him on the back, but I said, you're an idiot.
You're not absorbing.
You're an idiot. I mean, it's
right.
nice to say, maybe they'll write it on your tombstone one day, or hey, you can say, hey, I read 100 books in 100 weeks.
He probably knows a lot of vocabulary words.
Probably.
You can do good crosswords when you read that many books, too.
Yeah. If you have an eidetic memory, then even better. I mean, if you have that, then, man, I'd be reading a book a week or a book a day. I don't have that kind of memory. So I'd rather just focus. These days, I won't read a whole book. I'll focus on one thing and try to implement that into my life where it becomes a part of me. Otherwise, you're just sending more noise in, because when you're reading, you're not really in the moment. You're not. You're.
And you can't get distracted.
Yeah,
you can't have anything. You can't have phones ringing or TVs on or any of that stuff. You have to really be involved. And I think you have to read a book more than once.
Oh,
so those self-help books.
I'm a 5-time
while you're
minimum.
reading it, I found this is the easier way to do it. While I'm reading self-help books or just personal growth books, I now will flag the pages or highlight stuff as I'm reading it the first time. So that when I want to remember something from that book that was really important to me, I'll go back and I'll look at the highlights. Like, oh yeah, this is it.
I do the same thing.
That way, I think you absorb it better, or at least you could go back to it.
Yes.
You're not flipping like, what page was that on? That was that really great quote or that really great insightful idea.
Definitely. Oh, Tara, let's mention to our audience, please write in. This is Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And who's motivated you over the years? Has there been an author or a person that said, man, I need to start looking in this direction, something that made you, make a right turn instead of a left? Like, I need to go in this direction.
I don't mean to sound like a megalomaniac, but myself.
Yeah, great.
Myself, cool. I have been my biggest motivator since I was, as long as I can remember. My parents were big motivators for me because they always believed in me and they accomplished so much. I felt they were so strong of mind and body, and they overcame a lot of obstacles, and they just lived this simple life. And the things that they would say to me were just so teachable and so absorbing.
I didn't get into that.
I looked up to them with such. The admiration I have for both of them is just, it's overwhelming.
So why shouldn't it have been easier for you then? What do you think?
I think because I was always trying to live up to that love that they had. I talked about that
Leave It to Beaver, that Leave It to Beaver shit?
like they had this oneness, and I was on a quest to find that, and I didn't realize that it's like, I was different than them. They were raised differently than me.
Sure.
They were married very, very young, and different scenarios, different things. So, but other than them, I do feel like I have been my best motivator because I tell myself, if you have to be tenacious and you have to be determined. And if you want this thing, you need to go do the work, lay the groundwork, make the calls, jump on that, or you're not going to get it.
Sure.
I'm not one of these people that was raised to think that everything's just going to come to me.
Right.
Nothing was handed to me. I think I was raised on a farm, so you had to get up early and do your chores, and if you wanted to eat and you wanted this and that, you had to do these things. Yeah. So I incorporated that into my professional life when I left the farm. Yeah. I just was always, you have to work. And I also was my own worst enemy at times. I could really beat myself up pretty hard. And then whenever I fell down, I told myself, okay, you can lay there for a little while, and you can cry and you can scream, and you can feel sorry for yourself and say you're an idiot for making this choice. But get back up.
Definitely.
Get back up. Land on your feet.
Yeah.
And continue to go. Because life is supposed to be a challenge. It's not supposed to be easy.
Exactly.
I mean, some people make it look easy. Maybe millionaires and trust fund babies have it easy, but it's not easy. And they have their problems too.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe more so.
Definitely.
So it's supposed to be challenging. It's supposed to be the unknown. Don't make any plans because life will kick those plans right in the ass. Everybody's got problems. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody's trying to get somewhere. Yeah. And everybody's trying to find peace of mind and joy. Yeah. And I think that it's up to us. You can marry the most wonderful person in the world who is supportive and loves you and comforts you, but at the end of the day, it's still up to me.
Oh yeah.
To get what I need.
Yeah,
and to say what I need.
And think about this. the relationship doesn't work out for whatever reason, they take that part of them with them.
That's right.
And we're left empty again because we needed them to feel whole in some way. And that's always been the sad part. I realized that early on in life, but I wasn't able to really do much about it until later on in life.
Right.
But that was something I thought I knew because I read it and it made sense. And I was able to tell people, oh, listen to this one. This is a really good one. And but in looking back at my life, I wasn't able to implement it, or chose not to, or whatever, for whatever reason. I wasn't ready yet.
Yeah. What my problem was is I was treating every relationship in my life like it was the last one on earth. I wasn't thinking, well, this person doesn't deserve me. I don't deserve to be treated like this. Next. I wasn't thinking next. I was thinking, oh my God, what if he stops loving me? What if he's angry at me? What if this ends? So what if it does?
I know.
You pick up and you keep moving. And even if you're ecstatically happy and you feel like, okay, this is it for me, you still can't treat like that as if it's the last relationship on earth because you don't know what's going to happen.
I can trace that back to when I was early teens.
Yeah.
And through my almost entire adult life.
Right.
It's amazing how screwed up we are, isn't it?
And we stress about, like, oh my God, what if I lose this job? Oh my God, what if this happens? What if it does?
Yeah.
Instead of stressing about whether or not it's going to happen, why don't you put all your energy in, if this does happen, how am I going to be okay with it? How am I going to be okay with it? Not like, oh my God, what am I going to do? You're just going to throw your hands in the air and run around and scream. No. Think about if that were to happen, don't stress that it's going to because you're writing your own stories. And you shouldn't do that.
I couldn't agree more.
But think about, put the energy into, okay, let's say that does happen. What am I going to do? How am I going to fix it? How am I going to make sure that I'm okay and happy and have peace in my life?
Are we prepared for it?
Are we prepared?
Yeah.
We stress about the stupidest things.
It really is.
And that's why we don't sleep.
Every little thing is made into a big thing. Oh, let's put it this way, into a bigger thing that it should be made into. Everything.
Right.
Everything. Whether I pull out my car, I forgot my cell phone. Ah, shit, man, I got to go back into my phone.
Yeah.
That's there's no way that is that big of a deal.
I've been driving away from my house. I'm like, shit, I left my phone on the charger and I go back. And it gets me so annoyed. You know what I started thinking? Maybe that was whoever's protecting you, whether you believe it's God or your dead grandmother or the universe. Maybe you were derailed so that you didn't get into a car accident or didn't get into a drive-by shooting. I don't know.
I'll say that to my friends. I'll say that. How do you know?
Right.
That didn't just save your ass.
Everything is happening.
We don't know.
Exactly.
We don't know. We just know what not even what we see we know. What we're tuned into seeing. What we're tuned to, we see. We miss a lot of stuff.
We do.
We miss a lot, and a lot of good stuff. Because our mind's doing this shit, right? Squirrel cage, right?
Yeah. I forget so many things lately, and I walk out the door, and then I look at my arms. I'm like, I'm carrying 6 things. I'm thinking about where I'm going and what I have to do when I get there, instead of stopping and breathing and saying, do I have everything I need? Because what am I rushing for?
Yeah.
Unless somebody is having a heart attack and you're driving the ambulance, what are you rushing to?
It's a bad habit. Yeah, Eckhart Tolle says, how to get into the moment. There's a couple of things, like you said earlier. Just stop and take a breath, look around. And he says, when you look around, don't judge. Don't say, oh, that's a beautiful sunset. Don't say it's a horrible sunset.
Right.
Just take it in without judgments at all and just feel it, be part of it.
Right.
And another thing he says, which is interesting, is another way to get into the moment is do something a little bit slower. If you just slow your pace down a hair, or you're driving a hair, you're automatically doing something that's going to bring you into the moment. If you get into your car and you automatically start your car, just wait 10 seconds. You're automatically in the moment. And now, it's nothing juicy. It's not like, oh, wow, I was in the moment 5 times today. No, no, it's not. But the whole idea is to live a life now instead of in the future and in the past.
And if you stop rushing, you do feel better. I have to take my own medicine. I talk fast, I walk fast, I do everything fast.
Me too.
And I'm always feeling, at some points on the weekends, I'm like, what am I doing? I don't have to be there at 3 o'clock. I don't have to do anything. What I have to do is breathe fresh air, drink water, and eat some sustenance. Like, I don't have to do any of these other things.
I know. So it seems so easy.
So that's pretty much what I'm trying to get across, is that you have the decision-making power. You have the ultimate control over what you do, how happy you are, how miserable you are. And you can't control other people or their reactions.
So don't even try.
You can't control how long someone's going to love you either.
That's for sure.
You can't, and you...
Or even be worried about it.
Right.
To be worried about it kind of draws it in.
Right.
You're going to do things differently, and it's going to bring it to you. Oh, I knew that person wasn't going to love me. But meanwhile, you every time we think of something, It's a part of us now. We're living it.
Exactly.
Even if it didn't happen, as long as we start thinking about it, it's happening to us emotionally.
Exactly.
So we're going to act differently. We're going to interpret things differently. It's not about what you're arguing about. You're never arguing about what you think you are. It's about all the other stuff.
Yeah.
All this other stuff. So many gems of information that can really make our life so much easier.
If we could stop and think about it.
Yes, let's put a space between the stimulus and the response. And breathe and just, and just realize a few things. People aren't out to get you. Everybody doesn't hate you. They don't hate you.
Right.
They're just in their own shit. And
they have their own problems. Well, we create stories and we create conclusions. And if you don't communicate, I said this to a few people, if you don't communicate with me, I start creating my own conclusions to the story. Mm-hmm. That's never a good thing.
Oh, no.
So if you just pick up the phone and tell me what you...
Well, people don't use the phone anymore, first of all.
Or something. Any whatever portal of communication you'd like to use to convey to me what you're thinking. I won't create my own conclusions because that's never a good idea.
Yeah. We're in this texting world, and with my daughter and my wife and myself, and everybody wants to text. And I like texting. I find it very helpful. However, come on, you're not going to have a disagreement through texting.
No.
You're not going to, if you're into communication, texting is not the way to do it.
Right.
You need at least a phone call. Face-to-face is always the best, but that's not happening these days.
No, it's never happening.
But people don't pick up their phones.
No.
They don't pick up their phones. You can't even leave a message for someone anymore. I have to hang up and text them to call me. I can't even leave a message anymore.
Right, because either the voicemail is full or they don't check it.
So, so as far as communication goes, I don't know. I think we're kind of screwed.
Yeah. Well, and still, communication is key.
It is.
It really is.
It is. We have to find a way through this. It's a challenge for us as communicators.
And that's why everybody's angry. Mm-hmm. Because everybody's getting the wrong message, taking things the wrong way, and creating their own conclusions.
Yes, and it's ego against ego. And it's not ego where my shit's better than your shit necessarily. It's just this we have this automatic pilot. Did you ever notice that it seems to be like a good voice and a bad voice? The good voice is, oh, look, I should pull over and get gas. I'm on empty. And then we get, I'll do it tomorrow morning.
E stands for enough.
Yeah, that's good. And then we have the other voice with it that says, well, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You said something stupid. You're doing something stupid. They're stupid. Everybody's stupid. So we have.
I hate everything.
Yeah, but that's the voice we listen to.
Yeah.
And when we get in an argument, it seems like the stupid voice inside of us comes out, the ego. So before you know it, it's not Steve and Tara having a disagreement, and Steve and Tara's egos, because we're an automatic pilot. Yeah. We're not using free will at that moment. You have to admit, when we get agitated, we're not using free will. Right. We're being used.
Right.
We're being used. That's all there is to it.
Your
we're
thoughts are getting demonized is what's happening.
Totally. And it still happens to me to this day, and it bugs the hell out of me because I know so much better, but, and plus we're working very hard, and we're doing 2 or 3 things at once, and it's so easy to, for those things to sneak in really quick, because we're right on the cusp of popping, right? Because we got so much energy in us, from doing this and that and the other thing, and doing whatever else we're thinking about that. Someone says like, boom, we're there. And it's like, I knew better than that. But we put ourselves under all this pressure, like you were saying before, unnecessary pressure, and then we react so quickly. What could somebody do tomorrow, like immediately, with your book? Someone in their teenage years or in their early 20s, or really any year, what could they do immediately to grab hold of themselves and say, whew, I've been doing, this is all about me now?
I think that what they need to do is recognize that they make their own choices, that there's always an effect after a choice, and that could be, it could lead to success or it could lead to a regret, as I said before. If they're in a relationship, no matter what the age is, if you're in a relationship, assess that relationship.
Okay.
Are you being treated the way you should be treated? Are you being treated the way you deserve? Are you accepting less than happy? Then you deserve that because you're accepting it.
Yeah.
What you allow will continue.
Yeah.
So if you're not accepting what you really need for yourself, for you to be happy, you need to move on. You need to recognize that is not the last relationship on earth.
Yeah.
This person doesn't get you.
Right.
If they don't get you, they don't get you.
Right.
And they're not worthy of you. So find someone who is. And it's okay to be alone with your own company. So instead of jumping to go, instead of seeking someone.
That's a tough one, don't you think?
It is, but I think most
but we have
people,
to do it.
Unless you're depressed.
Yeah, sure.
I think most people are truly happy with their own company.
Yeah,
I think we would find more often than not if we chose to be alone on a Saturday night and curl up with a book or watch a chick flick or be with our pets.
Yeah.
And nobody's talking to us and nobody wants anything from us and nobody's demanding anything from us and maybe we shut our phones off.
Yeah.
I think we would recognize that we really truly do love our own company. And it doesn't make us more successful to have a group of people around us or to be home on a Saturday night. Does that really, alone on a Saturday night, does that really make you less successful as a person?
You know, we're always assigning meaning to everything. We're meaning-making machines. And unfortunately, the meanings we ascribe to things are not necessarily the most positive things or the correct at all. You know, if we're home on a Saturday night, well, that means I wasn't asked out, right?
Right.
Or I didn't ask somebody out.
Especially the younger generation. I think everybody's rushing to be popular, and it's very hard to
social media is like, oh, these 10 people did that 10.
Right. And then there's the, why didn't you invite me? Why wasn't I invited? Then there's that whole, that's a whole nother thing. But I think what I would tell my teenage daughter is, you have to really understand yourself and you have to really love yourself. Get to know who you are. Find out what your worth is.
Yeah.
What are your values? Mm-hmm. Don't compromise your values. Mm-hmm. Don't settle for less. Nobody should be settling for anything.
Right.
And if the person, if you like a boy and he's not treating you the way you want to be treated for your core and your character, then you don't be with him.
And sex complicates things.
Yeah, sex complicates
once
things.
Once you get in and start having sex, it puts a dumbness to us.
Yeah.
It almost like it's a back door in a sense to get into us.
Right.
To get into our feelings and emotions, because now we can't really think clearly because every enzyme in our body is hypersensitive at that moment.
And don't be so quick to give your body away to somebody.
Oh, especially how do you get to know somebody if you're having sex right away?
Right.
And of course, we all wanted it. We all wanted to have sex.
Right. We all wanted it. But if you can't trust the person, I mean, I hear all these stories all the time about how these one night stands, and the man or the woman never indicates to the other person that that's what they had in mind, and they let the other person believe this is going to be the beginning of something beautiful. Okay, well maybe you should have waited and figured him out a little bit before you jumped into that.
Yeah.
I talk about that too. If you want to just if you want to be like Samantha from Sex and the City and bang your brains out, safely, then go ahead, do that. Sure. But don't expect to change a player.
Yeah.
Don't expect to change anybody. If they, not enough people communicate properly either. If guys want to get a woman in bed, they're not going to tell her that they're looking to just get it on.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
Yeah.
But you need to be forthcoming. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. Everybody's afraid to do that. I mean, I've known a few people in my lifetime who actually reveal, I'm only looking for this, or I'm not looking for a relationship, or I never want to get married again. But,
I tried doing stuff like that, and I upset girls.
Some people say that, they get upset, but that's their problem.
I know.
That's their issue.
I know.
If the woman gets upset.
I decided to be very, very honest about stuff, and man, you can't win. You really can't win.
But then that's really their issue. If you're being honest, that's what you need to do for you to make yourself feel better, so you could sleep at night. If the person that you're telling that to doesn't take it, that's their problem. And then you go on. There's always somebody else. Like I said, not the last relationship that you're ever going to be in.
Before I started dating my second and last wife,
and last,
I decided I'm not going to have sex until I get to know somebody, because I was done playing around. I just wanted to find out, because I found that it numbed me and it made me susceptible to making choices that were bad for me.
Right.
Even if it wasn't great sex, it was just it's a connection that it's hard to. Your brain just can't override it, especially for a guy.
And then how do you get out of that?
How do you get out of it? See, now it's messy. And when I found it was, you're getting out of a bad relationship and you're dating. Well, now you're in another relationship. Even if you're just dating, you're still in a relationship, and someone's getting upset. And I'm like, I don't need this shit. So I'm like, fucking, I'm not having sex anymore. That's it. So I just dated and dated and dated for a while. Making out, that was it. Yeah. And some girls would say, hey, well, when are we going to have sex?
Yeah.
I said, we'll see.
Yeah.
Because I knew it was just screwing me up. It was making my decision making so much more difficult.
Yeah.
I didn't want to blow it again. And I knew that was a bad thing for me, because I wasn't a fully formed human being at that time. So throwing sex on the table I mean, forget about it. No brain power at all at that point.
But it's great that you discovered that, because you could have kept going down the path of destruction. And instead you recognize this is what's best for me. And I'm sure some of the women didn't think that was best for them, but it didn't matter.
Right,
Because that was
point.
the choice you decided to make to stop yourself from making a sad choice.
Good point.
So good for you. And then look what happened. You found someone who obviously accepted that about you. You're married. You have a daughter together. These are the kinds of things that will happen if you make the good choices.
Yeah. I hope younger girls read your book because and really take it in.
Yeah.
And take a big deep breath 100 times a day and just take it in and start rewriting those habits and
Well, the best is when you give one of your girlfriends advice about the shitty guy that she's dating, and they get in a fight, and she's all mad at him, and then you offer your opinion about that. Well, I never thought he was great, good for you. And then 3 days later, they're back together.
I know.
And you know she's telling him everything I said.
Exactly.
So now he thinks I'm public enemy number one.
Sure, because they'll forgive each other because of the sex.
Right.
But we're not going to get forgiven for that.
Right. Exactly.
I learned that a long time ago.
Right.
Keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Keep your mouth. They're not going to do what you say anyway.
Right. Because they're not ready.
They're not ready.
They have to be ready to accept the fact that this person is not deserving of everything you have to give.
Yeah.
And you deserve better.
Yeah. If we're not somewhat fully formed, then we really don't know what we need. So we could be with someone that's good for us, but we're so screwed up we don't know it.
Right. Right.
So
Which is
until we
why
do
you
the
have
work.
to take the time in between those relationships.
Yeah,
I don't.
have to.
You
Yeah.
can't jump. And I did it. I'm guilty
I was always
of
a
it.
jumper.
I'm guilty of it too. And that's the reason why I kept dating the same guy.
Yeah.
Different face.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Different career, different car,
Yeah.
same guy.
What's been easier, the career or personal life for you?
Well, career's been pretty easy because I was always, like I said, I was tenacious and determined to, I wanted to be.
Well, you were like that with personal relationships too, though.
I think personal is way harder.
Isn't it way harder?
Yeah. Yeah, because career is, you've learned a skill. I went to school for this.
But that's still
Every
difficult.
time I write that check to the student loan company, it's like, you better do well in your job. And I just feel like work is work. Work is different. It's a different mindset.
Which is more important?
Oh, personal growth.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Because you have to put your health first. They always say family first. Okay, family first, but what about health?
Yeah, us
because
first.
if I'm mentally ill because I'm stressed out or anxious or miserable, how am I going to be a good wife, mother, daughter, friend? You can't be. If you're spiraling because you are not looking inside of yourself and trying to help yourself, you're nobody to everybody.
Right. But yet,
right.
Where do we put the emphasis? If we'll put it on our career. Some will, some won't.
Money.
Yeah, money.
Yeah, that's where we put it, and it's just wrong.
And others that don't do anything.
Right.
They sit on their asses and they just wake up and do the same thing every day and they complain about their job and they don't want to try to make it better.
Right.
I mean, then you're screwed on both ends. You're screwed monetarily and personally. I mean, but personally, I think that's the Achilles heel for human beings. Interpersonal relationships, knowing ourselves. I mean, if we get that right at an early age, or at least somewhat healthy with it, we could grow in the right direction. Oh, that's what a great foundation.
Exactly.
Everything else could be built on. But without that, it's all everything's side. Even a great business. If you're great in business and you have this, how many people getting a divorce and well, I just lost half my income. I'm getting divorced the second time. I just lost another half. Yeah, that's so sad.
And if you're going to work, you have interpersonal relationships. You have colleagues. You have clients. You can't function 100%. If you're miserable in every other area, or if you don't know what you want, or you don't know what your end goal is. Or if you're not taking care of yourself and your health is failing and you're going to work anyway, what are you doing?
Right.
Yes, I know we have to go to work and we have to make money and we have to be successul in that area, but everybody has to learn a balance, and a lot of people can't do it. It's their mindset, and they're very successful.
Worrying? Do you think it's the worrying though? Because think about it. If we all worry more than we should about things that we think are more important than they actually are, then we're going to put them as a higher priority. So our health will come last, unless we get hit with a heart attack and now all of a sudden, I got to do it now.
Right.
We don't have a choice.
Right.
But other than that, you think it's because we blow everything out of proportion and then we just focus all of our energy on, oh my God, what if we lose this?
Yeah, there's too many what ifs.
There's too many.
There's too many what ifs. Stop saying what if.
Man.
And stop saying should. That's like one of the worst words.
I know. Hang on.
Should is an enemy.
Yeah, should is an enemy.
You don't say I should.
You should. Yeah,
I can or I want.
Sure.
Or I will.
I will. Yeah. Yeah.
Not I should. And not the what ifs, because we drive ourselves crazy thinking about the what ifs.
Yeah.
We lose sleep over this. We're aging
It's
because
terrible.
we're worrying about the what ifs.
That one thing, if we were able to eradicate that, would change everybody's life immediately.
I wouldn't have even had to have written a book if I didn't say what if all the time.
Sure.
Whoa, what if this? What if? Who cares?
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah.
You know, especially when I was in my 20s. Good Lord, I had my whole life ahead of me for dating. I didn't have to do this.
Yeah.
I didn't have to stay in something that was less than. I didn't have to be abused mentally, emotionally, or physically.
But you had to.
But I had to.
You had to, because
I had to
you
save
had to learn
them, or I had to forgive them.
Yeah. You had to learn the lesson that you needed not to be in something like that in the future.
And I hope that the men who dated me learned something about themselves
me too.
or learned some kind of a lesson. I really do. I hope that, you know, they're not out there pissed at me because I wrote a book about how shitty they are.
Yeah.
I hope that they recognize something by dating me, because again, I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
But I was trying really damn hard to fix people that had to fix themselves.
Yeah, I know.
And I should have been looking at me instead of looking at them.
I know. I did the same thing. And I fooled myself saying, well, I'm reading all these books, so I'm working on myself, right? Because the work needs to be done now. You read something. That's all you did was read something. It doesn't mean shit until you apply it over a certain amount of time. You know, someone that lost 20 pounds, all right, talk to me in a year, 2 years. If it's still off, I'll listen to how you did it.
Right.
But, you know, it's the same thing with personal development stuff. It's like, live it.
Because I try to impart, you know, all this great knowledge on other people. Because I like to be a teacher, and I think I'm helping. But sometimes people are like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to use this blow dryer for my hair.
Yeah.
You know, Dave says that to me all the time. He's like, just because I don't like it, you know, you're going to make me like it. But I try to do these other things. Like I do videos, and I wrote this book because I feel like, let me impart my wisdom that way.
Sure.
Because I'm using my own personal experiences to tell people, hey, here's an idea. I'm not telling anybody what to do, but maybe if you read this and you recognize that you're not the only person that's been through this, and this. I mean, I had some real doozies. So I feel like that's a better way to do it. And you doing your podcasts, you know,
sure, they'll choose whether they want to tune in or read the book or whatever they want to do.
Exactly.
It's their choice.
It's their choice.
And ultimately, that's what it comes down to anyway.
And we're not saying you should watch this or you should read this.
I read a book, one of the first books I ever read in the early 80s, and I forgot who it was by, but she goes, unless somebody asks you for help or your opinion, don't give it. And it seems so simple, yet I'm the first one to, there's a challenge, I can fix it.
Yeah.
And you want the other person to react, that was the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life.
You were right.
You changed my life.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm going to quote you for the rest of my life. But that's our ego that wants, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The emphasis has to go on us being able to implement those things ourselves. And people will learn by example. They won't learn by what you tell them. You know, you have to live it, especially
they
children.
have to live it. They have to experience it themselves. They have to be ready. That's what I said. Like when you tell your friend, you know, this isn't the right person for you, or you're making a bad choice. They have to figure that out for themselves. They're not ready.
Right.
They're not ready.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that we want to impart our wisdom on other people because we want them to be with us on this journey.
Yeah.
It's almost like we can't do this by ourselves. Maybe if we get somebody else to do it too, it's really real.
Yes.
Right.
But also, I still think we're hiding within it too, because it's really all about what we can do with it and then just lead by example.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then I've been doing it wrong for a lot of years, you know?
Right.
A lot of years.
Right.
And think about the frustration it causes when it causes an argument or a disagreement with people because, you're trying to tell me what to do again, or you think you're hot shit, or, you should try taking your own advice, and then that leads to something because now you're being attacked. I mean, it's amazing.
But some people also think, I don't need to be taught things. I don't need you to tell me how to act, what to do, who to say what. I don't need to know who, what, when, or where from you.
So is there anything else you'd like to bring up? Anything else you'd like to discuss?
I think I touched on everything I wanted to touch on.
Yeah.
If people don't like to read, they can always just go to the epilogue of my book. It gives like the top 12, the list of top 12 things of what you should get from my book.
I found that very interesting. I actually have it here. And let's see. Learn to love yourself first. Remember, you're never alone if you love your own company.
That's right.
That's great. And I really believe that too. Easier said than done. A lot of inner work has to be done in order to accomplish that.
Yeah.
And that's the only place we should really be putting our emphasis.
Right.
It's the foundation. You can't build anything on low self-esteem.
No.
You can't, or no self-esteem. You just can't.
Right.
A couple other really good. I mean, they're all great. They really should read this book.
The prologue is pretty good too. So the prologue sets the scene, of course, and then the epilogue is, if you just read this and you're wondering what it's about, here's your pointers. It's almost like the Cliff Notes for my book.
Yes,
so if you don't feel like reading it, you could just read the 12 top 12
Yeah,
steps.
I thought that was great too. Yeah,
and I tried to touch on everything. I don't think I would have listened to this advice in my teens because teenagers are just a whole different animal.
Yeah.
They want everything fast. They don't want to listen to advice.
I know.
They think you're stupid if you're older than them.
I know.
When I was in my 20s, though, if I would have picked up a book like this, or had somebody sit me down and tell me something like this, I think I would have made different choices. Yeah, me too. I started in my early 20s, and it was probably helpful a little bit along the way. I mean, I had a lot of work to do, though. Yeah.
I had a lot of work. I came from a really crazy background, so I had a lot of work. I have to say, the first 20 years, it probably took 20 years to grab hold of that, maybe 25 years.
Yeah.
I'm 56 now. Now I can enjoy things a bit more, but
isn't it sad that we can't really enjoy our lives until the second half?
Youth is wasted on the young.
Wasted on the youth. Yes.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It's
a shame. But I'm hoping more, better for my daughter. I'm trying to plant some seeds with her. We go to meditation together sometimes.
That's great.
So I'm trying to expose her to certain things. Hopefully she'll come around and revisit them later on in life.
Yeah.
Because we know what's going to happen to them. It's personal. It happens to all.
Heartbreak, disappointment, rejection, doors closed.
Oh my God! And then who knows how she's going to react to
Dreams
that?
crushed. It's like all there.
Yes, and I'm kind of okay with that with her because I realize that. I came out the other end.
You got to teach her to get back up. That's what my book
got to
says
get back
too.
up, and I love that. Got to get back up. Allow a mourning period that's realistic, like you say, and then get your ass up.
Yeah.
And that's it. Because successful people all get knocked down.
Yeah.
Oh, that millionaire. Oh, yeah. Come on, he's fallen down or she's fallen down so many times, but they push through to the next level. We need to do that with relationships, with ourselves, with everything.
Everything, exactly.
I think that's a great place to leave this, Tara.
Okay.
All right, it's been a
wonderful.
pleasure.
Thank you so much, Steve.
My pleasure.